I hope that you have enjoyed bullet journaling and are ready to take a deep dive into our creating crafty without rules playdate today. So here is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about art or creative journaling, also junk journal. And junk journals are many times handmade. They're meant to be used and added to with a lot less formality than a traditional planner. So one of the things that I get asked often is, so what's the difference between a junk journal versus a scrapbook? And in my easy explanation is a scrapbook is, they're beautiful and they're often a historic timeline. They honor people, events. It's meant to last and be passed down from generation to generation. And art or junk journals, like I said, are meant to be used. So we are going to talk a lot about ephemera. This is ephemera, which simply means one-of-a-kind or vintage pieces to adorn your journal. And I'll share some of the great resources and some of my favorite products that we've used in today's playdate. And bonus, there is a follow-up flip through of the completed journal and 2 detailed videos on ephemera and other materials. So you should check those out for inspo on our YouTube channel, Angela Arringdale Schrod or Meet the Schrods. So if getting crafty is your jam, this journaling technique is truly for you. Or if you're like me and you've scrapbooked in the past and have a plethora of materials, it's a great way to use them up and still be artsy-fartsy. If you love jotting down random thoughts, collecting memorabilia from your travels, or just gathering inspiration, this is perfect for you too. So if you're looking for a fun way to unwind and de-stress, this form of journaling is very helpful. While like all my journaling techniques, there aren't any rules, so that helps, right? But finally, it really can bring you a lot of joy day after day, and you can carry it along with you wherever you go. So it makes you happy. A couple other things that junk journals are really great for. Travel journals, so you can stick all your little tchotchkes and memorabilia. Vision boarding, design, documenting your day, tracking ideas and inspiration, and tons of other things. So by the end of our time together, you will have learned how to identify what you can use junk journals for, some methods, and a lot of my favorites. Concepts and setup. You're going to learn how to build something called signature pages. You'll learn ideas for adorning your pretty journal and how to bind it so it's easy and inexpensive, and how to make it personal to you while being mindful and exercising your creativity throughout. So let's talk about found items for a moment, and like these that I was talking about. So pause the video if you need to, but here's some other things that you might want to gather from around your house. Old books, old magazines or new magazines, pockets and envelopes, embellishments, ribbons, scrapbook papers or printables, cardstock or chipboard, stamps, fabric, napkins, any memorabilia. A couple other things you might like to have on hand are glue dots or double-sided tape, scissors or paper cutter, and an X-Acto knife that you don't need for this, but we will use it later. BT dubs, I did include all of the optional supplies, and I keep adding to them, and that way you don't have to flip back to former playdates. As you know, several of those are affiliates, which mean that when you purchase from those, you help to restore you and all of us build new content and playdates for you, and it doesn't cost anything, but you are supporting our small business, and we appreciate that, so thank you. A couple other things before we wrap up. We'd love to hear from you. So if you haven't already joined our VIP Facebook page, that's where you can collectively meet new friends, ask your questions, and just take time to be. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, you probably want to do that, because we continue to have free tutorials and lessons that kind of complement all of our journaling. That's at Angela Arringdale Schrod or Meet the Schrods. So without waiting any longer, I think we're ready to get started. And by the way, I decided for this episode, it was appropriate that I wore a little vintage ephemera of my own. Not really ephemera, but a little vintage leather jacket. So that's what I'm sporting for you today, because I love a good thrift, and I found this in a shop a while back, and I had to have it because it's just super cute. So let's go for it. Okay, friends, let's do this. Before we get started, I had mentioned in one of our last play dates a book about kids' quotes. And this is the one that I use for the kiddos. It's called My Quotable Kid. And it's just got who said it, when it happened, how old they were, where they were, and you can just fill it full of all of your good memories. Before I used this, I just simply used a regular journal, but I promised I would share that with you, and I will make sure I have a link to that in the comments as well. So we're going to get started with our junk journal, and as I mentioned before, no rules. This is something that is meant to be used so you can, and it's also a fantastic gift to give as well. I mentioned that you're going to need some old books, so here are just a few that I picked up, and some of these, for example, this one I thought was really cute, Cherokee strip. I liked the cover, and whenever I can leave the cover alone, I like to do that because when I actually write in my journal, and so I like it to kind of lay flat, so I don't want a lot of bulky pieces in there that keep me from being able to write in it. But if you like to have a lot of embellishments, you can certainly do that. And I did keep the internal fly page in there, but this I have to put all together, but you kind of get the gist of it. This is another one that I've already cut out, and I saved some time by not putting you through going through all of that. But all you're going to do is take that binding, and let's see, I don't have one handy, and cut it out. And I usually I go from the inside and cut just on this edge of it all the way down on both sides. And if, like on this one, I cut through a little bit, it's not going to matter because in this case, I'm going to cover the binding. I may also use this for another type of journal, using the covers as well for a junk journal, but instead using some different elements to bind it together. So it's not going to affect that either. So with that said, you need something that you can use for a cover. I have not done this, but I know a lot of people who journal. It just seems to me to take a lot more time, but you can certainly use cereal boxes because what you're looking for is something just a little bit more sturdy. This is chipboard, and cereal boxes are a perfect way to use those. So a couple of things to note about the elements of your journal. Obviously, you're going to have a front and back cover, but then inside your journal is going to be filled with groupings of what we call signature pages. And in this case, I think I have 4 in each signature, and we're going to do 3 signatures. I've already done one, so you can see that. Oops, I forgot. I was going to use these. We'll save those for later. But I've already got one, and I've already put it in. I will show you how to bind these. But I've already put it in and added just a few elements. Now, like I said, I like to write in mine, so I keep it fairly simple. I think, but those are just a few of the blank pages, and then I will likely add as we go different kinds of elements like this I am thankful for page and things like that. But for today, the sake of today's session, I want you guys to be able to get started, and so I made it as simple as possible. For example, this is a piece from a magazine, but I've already got one in there. I'm going to start by showing you how to create the cover. So all you need to do is, like I said, cut out the pages. Now, if you prefer and you find a really cool, unique book, leave the pages in there and you can just create your journal right on top of that. Maybe take out a few pages to give it some room as it grows and you have put more embellishments and memorabilia in there. But if not, go ahead and cut that out. And then I simply just used my washi tape, which I think I have here somewhere. And you can pick this up at any craft store. I will add that. I don't have that added in your supplies list. But then I just take that cover, like this one, I have not done yet. And then I did do this one. It looks like it needs to be redone because of those pages. But I just put that washi tape in there. A lot of people use duct tape, which works even more fabulously. I just didn't have any pretty duct tape. Mine was silver and that was it. So we're not going to use that. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and get started with making your signature pages. Now, as you know, as you can see here, I have chosen pages that kind of go with that blue and pink look. I really liked the title of this. It's called The Spa, and I was like, oh, that's kind of relaxing and kind of girly. So I just left the cover. I liked the title. So I just coordinated all of my papers, and truthfully, my papers all came from stuff that I had in my craft studio. So I just gathered a bunch of different paper, and in addition to that, I grabbed some printables. This printable is from, it's from Creative Market, and I cannot remember who the company is that actually print it, but a lot of times you can go on, buy free printables that you can print in 8.5 by 11. Saves you quite a bit of money. This was just a 12 by 12 piece of paper that I cut down. I've also grabbed, you know, if you follow us on Instagram or on YouTube, you probably have seen some of my junking expeditions, and this was from an old songbook, I guess. It wasn't a hymnal, it was a songbook. And more paper. I also have some tissue that came from a pattern book, so we'll use that today. And then some old magazine advertisements, which I just thought were really cute and kind of went together with that. So we're going to put all of those together in just a few moments. And I have a few of the things that I have used. This French dictionary I picked up at Goodwill. And some of our pages will come from this Gratitudes journal. This one even, I mean, you could even make a junk journal directly out of this if you wanted to maintain the pages, because they're pretty. It's, you know, gratitudes for every single day. So you could do it. And it's got some really fun quotes and such in it too. And then, oh, here's the Sacred Trios, number 2 for sopranos and altos. So what I did, just so you guys know, these staples were really rusted, but I just carefully undid them from the middle of the book so that I could have the pages all intact if I want to use them. And then if I want to separate them out, I can do that as well. And then the last thing that I have that I found, it was another journal, more like a, excuse me, more like a planner. But it had these pages in it, which I loved, and I didn't really look at it much when I got home, but or until I got home. But it has notes pages, which I'm going to pull out because I may use those. And then it had to-do lists, which can be separated. I think I used one in one of those pages. It has meal planning. It had a whole stack of these. This was a bonus. I definitely grabbed those out and put them in my office drawer so that I could use them later. But they're all Post-it notes, so winning. So those are the things that we're going to use from Found Finds. And, you know, that's kind of the idea, is you don't have to spend a lot of money. Just go for it and use what you've got around the house. And then stick it in your bag or your purse and take it wherever you would like to go. I don't know why these are, oh, okay. So I have two things. One, you can use, I generally don't like a lot of loose leaf, just printer paper in my journals because they tend to get a little beat up. So I oftentimes, or most of the time, use some type of cardstock or scrapbook paper, and then add those other papers to the back of them. Now, this particular paper is just a very simple design, and so I'm adding this kind of funky contemporary paper to it. And that's the other thing. I'm very eclectic when it comes to, well, pretty much everything. My design decor at home and when I'm crafting as well. So I really like to mix a lot of old elements with new elements. And so this is very geometric and contemporary. Some of these other pages are vintage and a little more rustic. But this is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. What I do in order to know how to make my signature pages is I honestly just open up the book at the spine, take my ruler, figure out how wide that book is, which this is 12 inches, and then I plan accordingly. And this one worked for just 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. So right now we have our first signature page, our first page in our third signature book. And I'm going to show you this one next because I want to have time for this to dry. But like I said, these are old. I was in a thrift shop just last week and I came across, I mean, bins and bins of old dress patterns in general. And so I thought, oh gosh, I got to have a few of those because that tissue, I don't like the white if I'm doing kind of a vintage page. So I will tea dye or coffee stain my pages on the opposite side of the pattern page. A lot of times my scrapbooks scrapbook papers that I have in my stash already have two designs on it, which makes it so much easier. But we're going to do this one so it can dry. Oh crap. You didn't see that. Oh, you got to see this. I have this tool that I don't know. I told you I'm a gadget girl. I have this tool that it cuts, but it's not like a rotary cutter, and it was kind of weird. And so I tried to use it, and I don't know if you can see that, but I may have cut into my butcher block, but hey, you know what? It's what office stuff is for. So now I am just, that's the only part that I don't like is that this gets kind of weird, but it starts to curl. And there's no rule, like you don't have to be, it doesn't have to go on straight. In fact, I really don't want it to. I want it to have a few little crinkles in it. And then I am just going to finish this. Oh God. I really wanted that seam allowance to be on there. I thought that was kind of cute. And then I'm going to put a little more of this on. And that's the other thing that's really neat about this Mod Podge that I'm using. That's the glue that, here, let me show you. I probably reference that a lot. That comes in matte or glossy. But the cool part about it is that you can put it over or under whatever it is you're doing. You see that one didn't have quite enough, so, and then just kind of stamp it down. Now you're probably wondering, oh, okay, that's all over the page. Well, when this dries, I will simply just cut it off. And I won't even, sometimes my Fiskars cutter doesn't work the best to cut this really delicate tissue. So I just use my regular scissors to cut it. And we're going to just do I loved this too, so I'm just going to stick that on there. Oh, I know what I was going to show you. Shoot. One of the fun things, although this one has enough pretties on it that I don't think we really needed to do it, but one of the cool things that you can do, and you don't even have to write anything that means something. You can really just do like underneath the page. I'll just do it on the back of this because that's, so let me just show you. You might just write, or you could write words. Then you can just take your And of course, that's pretty messy. That looks more like shorthand. Oh, but you'll get the gist. And I'll just show you on the back of this. And then you just put your tissue of whatever sort you want. And then you get kind of a neat background, and you can add, you know, little doodles on there if you wanted. We'll set that aside because we may use that too. But it's that simple. Kind of cute. All right, so I'm going to set those two over here. I wanted to show you an example of, this is just with coffee. This page was white. It was a printable, but it didn't print to scale, so I'll probably cut it down. But it was all white, and I wanted to make it more tea stained. And so I literally took coffee. You can also take coffee grounds, and I painted it on. Because this was a piece of printer paper, there's another technique where you soak it into, and this works really well with like scrapbook paper, and just soak it in there for a while, take it out, and then let it dry. But because this is just regular printer paper, it tends to get too mushy. So, all right, so now I'm going to show you, now we're going to have, so far now we have 2 pages. This is the next sheet. This was just some, I think this might have just come, it may have came just how it is, I think. Oh, shoot, guys, I'm sorry. My microphone's getting in the way. All right, I am going to show you how to cut this down. And I've got to decide which way I want. I want the, let's see, do I want that or, well, either way, it looks like it's going to be okay. So my time saver is, I'm not very good all the time about measuring, but this is going to be where I cut that, but I do know it's 8.5 by 11. So I could, here's another easy way to do it. If you don't want to measure, you're in a hurry, you can just put your paper right on top of that. This is my Fiskars. I got to turn it around for you. And I am simply going to, let's see, will that fit in there? Nope, not yet. So we're going to cut this end first. And I just make sure that's lined up. Give it a quick cut. If you want, you can save this for some other project. I tend to have a lot of this stuff, so I do not. Not often, anyway. If it's something that is a firma, which is kind of what this old sheet music is, other things that would be a firma would be like your pages out of a book, any old postcards, or like this was a playing card, little things like this. These are reproductions from Tim Holtz, but you get the idea. It's anything that is found, and what a firma is. The definition, the real definition is one of a kind. So they're found items, oftentimes vintage, and you can't get them again. So that is why it is called that. But you'll hear in creative art journal and junk journaling, you'll hear this a lot, referred to as a firma, and that's why a lot of the things that I find from my thrift shop excursions are pieces of a firma. So I do have to say that when I find, like, for instance, I like hymnals and music, the music pages a lot. I just think it looks so pretty, and so if I find something I really like, I may make a copy of it and keep the original so that I can use it over and over again, if it's something I really, really, really love. Okay, now we have 3 pages in our journal. We simply fold it in half. Depending on what type of paper that you have, you might have to do this a little, you might have to use something like I am right now, your scissors. So now we have, and that got a little bit. We still have my other page that's actually drying. I don't know that that will be done before we get done today, but we're going to try it. This was out of, I have to show you. I don't even know if this will fit in screen. Probably not. But this was So News, and it's huge. I don't know. It must be 11 by 15, but it is filled with stuff. There's even the old pieces in there, but different kinds of ads, fabulous furs, just really cute stuff. I think this was from, when is this? Let's see. I wonder if it says in here. That's always, 1990? Wow. I thought I was way cooler than that in the 90s, but apparently not. It's not as old as I thought in my mind. I'm going to go back to using possibly the tape because it's just less messy. It dries quicker. I don't have to wait for it. And I mentioned this in another play date. This has become my best friend, this Ad Tech Crafters tape. And I am not that particular on these pages because truthfully, I want to be able to have them look a little bit worn and fun. And so if they don't stick in every single spot, who cares, right? All right, so we are going to add all of these together minus the bad boy that's still drying. I mean, how easy can this get? Like, seriously, you can just use regular pieces of paper. Now, I have my third index. So we're going to start embellishing a little bit with some of this other fun ephemera. So as you can see on this first one that I did, I have already put this in the journal. Now, the way in which I bind this, and this one is bound specifically so if I wanted to use the cover again but save the journal pages, I could. I mean, in the past I've sewn all of my signature pages together. If you have a sewing machine, you can do that. I did not want to spend the time showing you how to sew that all together and then put it in. So you're going to figure out the amount of signature pages you have, and I could have probably fit 2 more sets of signature pages, but for the sake of this, I just wanted to do 3. So you're going to wrap. You can wrap string. A string works best, and this is just some very thin thread. Well, it's not. It's really craft thread. I don't even know where I got it. And you're going to wrap it 3 times around. Once you've done that, then you're going to bind it here. And I will probably, after we're done, I'll do a flip through when this is all finished and put that on YouTube. But I'll embellish this a little bit so it looks pretty. But you're going to secure those together. And the only thing that you have to remember when you're doing that is that inside of here, you just need to make sure that those strings, no matter if you have 3, 5, 7, 9, that they don't overlap, because you're going to be sticking your journal pages in here like this. So, and this is the tricky part a little. It's not tricky, but kind of ish. That's why you want to make sure it's secured before you put everything in there. And you can do these if you want. Oh, I'm stuck. Okay. You can do these one by one if you don't want to put the whole signature in at a time, if it freaks you out. My dad always says that I'm a rammer jammer, so I'm just going for it. Why not? Okay. So I've got those 2 in there. This one I'm going to leave out because we're going to add some fun to it. But let's just walk through. This one doesn't have anything really in it except this. This must have been from that sewing magazine as well that I stuck in there. But for this one, I want to show you in that same packet that I had, that pattern, it also had some neat little instructions, and it's kind of a nice weight of paper. So and it matched the colors that I had picked. So I did put that in here. Personally, I don't often like to have a lot of small pages in there that are separate from the others that I've got, but I thought that that would be a good way to show you some of the alternatives. Like I said, these are pretty basic. I used these, I think, before in one of our other journals, but that'll go cute there. And this is just a watercolor that I did. I was practicing. We're getting ready to do some art workshops, and we have something called Be Your Selfie that we are doing online as a membership for girls that are, well, online it's from 9 until 16 if they want to, but then we're having a live workshop this summer, which is a week-long. It's like 9 to, I don't remember the hours, but anyway, it's an all-day, or 4 to 6 hours of empowerment and art and creativity and fun for young girls. So I've been working on some different lesson plans and different projects, and this was one of the things that I was working on, was colors. But look how pretty that is. Now, if I wanted to, and I wanted to add even more, let's see, just to give it a, well, see, there's that white. You know what? Do I dare do this? I better not. Oh, you know what? In one of my found finds, this will look cute with these because these little tabs were in there. I don't know what it came with, but so what if I maybe just do it on 2 ends? I bet these probably never use these. There we go. And I think that it's either glue or I don't know. I think the intent is to use these when you are putting your pictures in a scrapbook, but it's kind of the old way of doing things. I'm not doing anything except putting this in here like this because why not? And I'm not even going to worry about, I'm just going to get it tacked down. For those of you who are really detail oriented, I'm probably driving you crazy. But you take as long as you want and make it as perfect and as pretty as you choose to do. Now, normally I probably, and I may even go around this after we're done with like a watercolor, maybe similar to this brown, just to give it a little bit of oomph, because I don't like, or maybe even a gray to match the black. That'd probably be better. All right, so there you have it. Done. Pockets are something else that I like to do, and I'll show you a couple things. This is one I pre-did. Remember that book that I showed you that was the Mom's Journal? And then I just used some of these sticker sheets that I had, just to give you an example. And like I said, this is just a sample. I would probably do this a little bit different if I was going to be using this one every day. But this one I did, and I did it as a fold out because the pages were a little too big, but I wanted to be able to use it to plan my week. And so maybe this is my grocery list and these are menu notes. Remember I talked to you about I put all my grocery lists on Post-it notes and then by department and then separate it and give it to my kiddos. But then what I found in the back of the book was a pocket. And this is where you would put all, oh, I've got some letters I want to put in there. Or, oh, I just did some. This is great for vision boarding. It's great for, if you're a designer of an artist or a designer, it's great to just put all of your fun ideas in. But you could use this for anything. Maybe you're got some thank you cards you want to send. You could put that in there as well. On this page, I did kind of a little ombre effect in advance of our workshop today. So perhaps I would maybe put something on there, like I could do it here, which it just says I accidentally cut that. Or I could just use this. I am thankful for. And I think I'm just going to use mine. Again, this is something I will probably go back and either ink. I mean, you could use inks. You could use stamps if you have it. I used to be a consultant for a scrapbook company. I did that when I was, when my kids were little. And so I have tons of stamps from them, but then I can just write whatever I want in that little segment as well. But you kind of get the drift. It's not difficult. So we'll go ahead. Let's put this aside. Let me see what else I can find that. Let's just doctor up a couple of these pages. Oh, I know what we can do first before I do that. I wanted to use this just because one of the things that I find is a great use of these journals, and you know, Dave and I travel quite a bit. So if I'm going on a trip, my mom is really the one that got me into this. We went to Chilco when I got engaged. I had no idea about it. Chilco is in Canada at a resort called the Chilco Wilderness Resort. And if you've never been there, you've got to go because it's fabulous. But anyway, while we were there, she did a journal, and it was everything that we did every single day. And it was so fun because we would forget. We were so busy. Now, I like these little dots on here, by the way, but it doesn't really fit in there, so I'm just going to cut it off. And so I was like, oh, I need to do that whenever, I don't know why, in all the years that I've traveled, and I travel a lot, that I never really did it. I would occasionally write it in my notes in my phone, but I found that it was so much more fun to just carry a little journal and write things down. And if we went to a baseball game, then I would just keep my ticket and stick it in one of the pockets, and there we have it. All right, so then we've got that, and then somewhere, oh, here. So this was another piece that I was working on, but it is a pocket. Now, I did this, and it doesn't really fit this way, right? So it's too big, but I think it's okay. So if I put it sideways, because we can use it for all kinds of stuff. Really? Tchotchkes are tchotchkes, you know? Stick them all in there. So I'm just going to stick that here. When I punched my hole in the cover for my ribbons, I punched through that. Oops. But what I think I would like to do maybe is come back and do something else on here. But for the time being, it doesn't really go with it. Here's just some, and like I said, these are things that. Well, here, this would be fun to put in the front cover because it has the name and all that kind of stuff. So, who it belongs to. Let's stick that on there. Easy peasy. Like I said, I'm not doing anything fancy in this one. I want you guys just to understand what they are and how you can use them. I like that. We'll just put that. That was from one of the games I got. From one of my thrift adventures from Scrabble Word Rummy. Never played it, but it had some really cute little, you know what, I'm going to do this. First word on there is exercise. Note to self. And there I'm not really getting too crazy. Put it down here. Oh, what's that? Size 2.5, really? I don't like that. What's this say? I always like to look and see what it says on there. It's any inspiration to me, but this one, you can't really. So we're just going to make the words, or the notes. It's funny because I love to use sheet music, like I said, but I am no musician. In fact, I'm pretty sure I was last chair when I played the flute in high school. I was there for the social aspect. Come on now. So now I'm getting a little carried away on this. I usually don't go this nuts on pages, but see, I could draw some different things in there. And like I said, when I'll go ahead and finish this, and I'll do a flip through for all of you to see, so you can really see how it looks. All finished and pretty. But the last thing that I want to show you, oh, you know what? This is pretty dry. Let's just close this for a minute. Patience, not my virtue. We'll go ahead and add this to the signature. And I'll go back and, did you see how, it's very fragile. Now this will drive me crazy, so I'll have to go back and update it. But for the sake of our time together, you'll get it. All right, now that I made an absolute mess here, move that aside, get my mess out of the way. Now I'm going to fold this up. And I would probably, I've tucked them all away because see, that's how I am. I don't like messes. So then I put things away and then I end up needing them. I would put something on this, obviously. Well, I don't know, maybe. Yeah, it'll go right through it. But I'm going to add my last signature page, or signature pages. And then I'm going to show you how I did the tie. Because here's the thing. If you're going to be adding a bunch of goodies in here day by day, it's obviously going to get bigger and bigger. And the one thing that I've seen these displayed, which, a lot of people say, well, what am I going to do with it after I'm done? But I have seen so many of them that actually put them on a shelf and then just stack them, and they might just handwrite like the dates or if it was a trip. And I think that that is a fabulous way to capture those memories. So now what I did in advance, and I mentioned this as a potential supply that you can use. This is called a crocodile, but you can just use, if you have a really good hole punch. I just punched on the small end. This one it's fancy schmancy. It has like a small punch and a large punch, but it also has a brad setter. So, I'm sorry, eyelet, or I think that's what they're called. So, what do you call those? Anyway, it doesn't matter. But I had one of those pieces. Oh, and of course, duh, Angela. I put that on there and I forgot. Now I'm going to have problems. Maybe. But I put that grommet in there. Hello. So that it just gave it was just a little more sturdy. But with a book cover, you probably don't need to. If you're just doing a paper cover, that doesn't have much substance to the cover, then I would definitely suggest securing it you can use, I didn't have any, but you could use elastic, and I have these cute little brads, so you could use that, and then just tie it around that. But all you do is just make a knot in there. Is that on there? Boom diggity. Pull that through. And now I'm going to tie it into a pretty little bow. I left these pretty long because I wasn't sure. And I probably would suggest leaving it. I mean, this is too long odds, but I would probably suggest leaving it fairly long until you were all finished, because if you know, depending on how many signatures you want and how much stuff you're going to add, you want to be able to still tie it in a pretty bow when you're done. And then there you have it. And so like on here, I could open, let me open this back up. I got a little extra ribbon. So I'm just going to tie this on here. And I'll probably add a few more little fun ones in here, just for the heck of it. I don't have any more ribbon. I really need to do these videos in my craft studio where I have everything at the ready, but the lighting is so much better up here and I can't help myself. So there you have it. You have all of your signatures in one place, and you can start and continue to embellish, and you can add pieces anytime. So that's the other really awesome thing. Like, for example, we'll just go back here to the last one that we did, since this is kind of, you know what, I'm going to add this. But you could add it anytime. You know, you just stick it right inside any part that you want. But this looks kind of cute here. So we're just going to use this up. This is also from the word Scrabble game. And now this would be, I thought this would be a really good habit tracker. So like I'm trying to count my macros. So I could just say, okay, for this month, I'm going to count my macros right there and fill it in with my success each day. But yeah, there you have it. So simple. I'm telling you that this probably, especially if you have a book, by the way, every time I go to my thrifting ventures, I have a baby tape measure with me at all times. And so I measure and kind of figure it out in advance. But those 8.5 by 11 pages are awesome. So there is a finished one. I want to show you really quickly a couple of, I think I'm going to do this for YouTube because I found an entire box of, I bought it because it was it was a Creative Memories like plastic box. They're really sturdy and they're great for storing all of this kind of these tchotchkes and such. But it was filled with a bunch of scrapbook paper and other fun things. So I decided, and I found this too, and I've already pulled, this was like a photo book. So I decided to use this one because I do like the cover as a little challenge. So I think I'm going to do a YouTube video on that, using only the things that came in that box to create a creative journal. Here's another one that would be perfect. The pages are already finished. So like you could just add your embellishments and all of your goodies right on top of it, your little pieces of paper, and half the work is already done for you because you don't have to combine it. This one is really cool because it's a wooden cover, so sweet. This one, I mean, like I'm kind of going back and forth because I love this. It's this was $3.97 at Yonkers. Let's see if we can find out how long ago. Well, it was printed by Meredith Corporation in 1961 and again in 1970. So, but anyway, this I thought was just, who knew? Velour launders well. It's already got the bind or the spine in it, and it's got really cool backgrounds already. So you could just, You could either add your own pieces of paper, put paper over it. So I think that for this year, I am going to use this one for myself and just add to it. I don't know. I just think it's so stinking cute. Let me take that sticker off. So that's another one. And then the other thing that make really good junk journals are kids books, like even like Dr. Seuss books or such. But this one, I have 2 of them. I found it 2 different little adventures, but this one is called I Love Being Me, and it's pretty big. And I'm not sure exactly how many, but this one came with stickers too. But this is what it looks like inside. And each one of these has a pocket, and so it was intended for like a little girl to introduce herself and fill that pocket that everything that represents you. Now this is a little dated, right? So you could use these concepts and repurpose these pages and give this to somebody as a one-of-a-kind gift. And I think that they're really, really special. Now this one was school days. Again, you could do something with that as well. For this one, I think I'm going to cover the pages and cover the entire outside and see what happens. But you can follow us on our YouTube channel. Also join, if you haven't joined our VIP page, which is To Restore You's Creative VIP page, make sure you do that. And it will have links to all of our fun YouTube videos that we have done following our journaling workshop. So you can get more ideas, more inspiration, and see what we are up to. And with that, I want to say thank you again. And I look forward to seeing all of your completed projects. So feel free to share those on our Facebook page or in the comments below. Ask us any questions. And until next time, just be.